Be honest. How do you feel after scrolling for 30 minutes? For most of us, it's not great. You see everyone's highlight reel, their body, their relationship, their vacation, their life, and somehow you end up feeling like you're behind in a race that you didn't even agree to run. I want to talk about why that happens and what God actually says about how you're being measured. But the Lord said to Samuel, "Do not look on his appearance or on the height of his stature, for the Lord sees not as man sees. Man looks on the outward appearance, but the Lord looks on the heart." 1 Samuel 16:7. 1 Samuel 16 is the story of Samuel looking for Israel's next king. He looks at Jesse's oldest son, tall, impressive, exactly what a king should look like, and assumes that's the one. God says no, not him. And God says something that should completely reframe how you see social media. Man looks at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. Social media is the outward appearance economy. It is by design, a place where you're evaluated and where you evaluate yourself based on what's visible. Bodies, faces, vacations, relationships, achievements, none of that is the metric God uses. Here's the trap. When you spend hours in a system built entirely on outward appearances, you start unconsciously adopting its values. You start believing that what's visible is valuable. And by the metric, you will always find someone who appears to be ahead of you. But God isn't running that scoreboard. He's not impressed by what impresses an algorithm. He's looking at your heart, your character, your integrity, the things nobody likes or comments on. The kid God chose that day was David, the youngest, the one nobody thought to call in from the field, overlooked by every human metric, chosen by the one and only metric that matters. You're not behind. You're being measured by a completely different standard than the one that's making you feel small. Here's your challenge. Try a 24-hour social media fast, or if it feels like too much, at least cut your time in half today. Notice how you feel afterward versus during a normal scroll session. Then write down one thing about your heart, not your appearance, that you're proud of. Let that be the metric today. You're not behind. You're not less than. You're being measured by a heart standard, not a highlight reel. I'm Mia. This is Daylight. Subscribe so I can see you tomorrow. Drop a comment. How do you feel after you scroll? Be honest. See you tomorrow.